606 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Good morning, everybody. Brian here with you. Jake Barty producing. We call it Mornings with Brian Haldane. If you were listening in the last hour, our apologies for the dual signal right there. If you're just joining us, welcome aboard. Get ready for it, y'all. Big show lined up for you today. Actually, you know what? Before we dive into the rundown here, I do want to take just a moment. You heard Marissa Nuzzo's forecast right there. I do want to take just a moment to kind of lay it out there for you. If you've got errands to run, if you've got plans in the middle of the day, you might want to work around this a little bit because it is looking like from, let's say, noon until about 6 p.m. It's just going to be nasty out there, which does include carpool, picking the kids up from school this afternoon. Not sure if schools are going to be making any announcements or whatnot, but we are looking at pretty bad thunderstorms. In fact, 100% chance of rain, 80% chance of rain starting at 1 p.m., 100% chance of rain starting at 3 p.m., and that carries up until 7 p.m. Till 6 p.m., where it starts to scale back on into the evening. Now, the nastiness that we're going to deal with today sets us up for a cool front coming through. You're going to love this. Once we get through today, tomorrow's high is only 71. Tomorrow night's low is 52. Friday's high is 65. Friday night's low, 48. Rinse and repeat for Saturday, and then it starts to creep back up a little bit warmer on Sunday. But the middle of the day, the early afternoon today, is going to be beastly. All right. That's there. We have set the table for what we can expect weather-wise. Now let's move on to the news of the day. Now let's move on to our big story of the day. The mask mandate, he gone. As of today, put him away. That rhymed. My bad. Governor John Bel Edwards holding a press briefing yesterday, letting us know the mask mandate is expiring. In fact, let's go ahead and hear it from the governor right here.
Today, because we have basically returned to pre-Delta or pre-fourth surge baseline numbers, and Dr. Candace is going to show you all the graphs in just a moment, I am announcing that the proclamation that I've signed a while ago, earlier today, for the next 28 days will lift the statewide mask mandate. And I want to be very clear about what I'm about to say. It will remain in place for K through 12 schools, except that school districts and non-public schools can opt out of the mask mandate, but only by following CDC guidance as outlined by the Department of Health with respect to quarantine and isolation.
Okay, lot to unpack from that. What does that mean within schools? Talking about following CDC guidance, CDC guidelines, most schools do that. Now, the media immediately took away like this was some kind of division between the governor and the superintendent of education. If you unpack it fully and rewind back to the superintendent of education's not ruling, not mandate, he can't have a mandate, his latest guidance where schools could opt out of quarantining based off of close contact, if you rewind back to that, that's what it's sounding like this is a direct shot at. That's not my take at all. I don't feel like this is any kind of division between the two. And now that the mask mandate's over with, everything Dr. Cade Brumley said a couple weeks ago is now null and void because his guidance was based off of students wearing masks in the first place. That being said, overall, public transit, planes, trains, and not automobiles, planes and trains, still got to have it. Still got to have a mask. Hospitals, still got to have a mask. Schools can still make the call to have a mask. Outside of that, we're done with it for now. Till the next surge. All right, got a big show lined up for you today. Attorney Franz Borghardt is going to be in for Legally Served. That's coming up at 6:35. I have not talked a lot about the Alec Baldwin situation. And I hate to call it the Alec Baldwin situation because it's not Alec Baldwin who died in the situation. It's a cinematographer from the movie Rust. That being said, everyone's calling it what? That's the name of the movie. That's what everybody's referring to it as. Anyway, are charges forthcoming? Well, we have an attorney on hand to talk about that. Legally Served coming your way at 6:35. 7:15, we're going to have a ton of audio from the governor's press conference. Not just from today, though, but there was a lot about last Wednesday during his Ask the Governor show that kind of showed his hand a little bit. Or at least foreshadowed, if you will. That's at 7:15. 7:35, Congressman Garret Graves is going to be on with us. 8:15, let's talk about Real Men Wear Pink. Dave Baxter is going to join us to talk about that. As October winds down, so does the Real Men Wear Pink campaign. So we will we'll take a look at the leaderboard. Take a very close look at the leaderboard. And who is number one right now is what we're going to do.
I'm number 2 now.
Are you number 2?
And to quote Maverick, there's no points for second
That's
best.
right, man. If you're not first, you're last.
And I'm not just second. Man, the guy, Jody Hammett, who's in front of me, has a commanding, like, $10,000 lead on me.
All right, we'll see if we can work on that.
I'm going to have to reach down into the Borghardt Law Firm coffers.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Burning money for breast cancer.
Well, maybe Alec Baldwin's looking for a lawyer. Maybe.
I don't know if he can afford me.
Well, not with what you're going to be charging to catch back up on the leaderboard there. Also, The First Shots. This is a new book that's out about how the coronavirus vaccine made its way out. Brendan Borrell is the author of that book. He's going to join me at 8:40. That plus top stories and trending, that plus the outside in. Jake will have This Day in History and a whole lot more coming your way shortly. In a second, we're going to look at sports. A lot still to unpack from what Ed Ogeron had to say on Monday. We'll break that down next. First, though, got to ask you, you know what? If you're just getting out of bed, now's the perfect time to ask you. You grabbing the lower back, maybe feeling it down your legs, maybe some aches and pains that you never want to deal with because they're just nagging injuries. You just suppress it, right? Just walk through it. Walk through the limp. Be a man. No. Get some help with nagging injuries. When you think of physical therapy, you normally think of injuries from a car accident or like some kind of weekend warrior stuff. What about being hunched over a computer all day long? It takes a toll on your neck and back, and that can be worked out with physical therapy. Baton Rouge Physical Therapy has been around for 60 years. They've got 6 locations throughout the greater Baton Rouge area. Want to find the one closest to you? Visit brptlake.com. Want to get a complimentary screening? Complimentary screening. Yeah. If you're experiencing pain, how about the price of free to find out if they can help? 917-9185. 917-9185. Get back to being your best you. Think physical therapy. Think brptlake.com. Oh, that was a lot. It is hot in here today.
You know how Baldwin can hire me? Bucket of money. Is that her phrase? Bucket of money.
Was it a bucket or a buttload?
Buttload of money.
I think buttload is more mulky speed.
What was she getting paid?
Yeah, it's fine over there. I'm good. You what?
What's she getting paid?
I don't know. 1.2, 1.3? A lot for a women's basketball coach.
I think I'm going to get season tickets.
Are you?
I think it would just be fun to... So I like basketball. Fisher, my son, likes basketball. You know. Women's basketball is basketball. I mean...
Sure.
Danger. Danger. Danger!
I coach girls basketball.
I know you do.
So I'm a big proponent of women's basketball. I'm just saying the two games are
I'm not racist. I have lots of black friends.
That's not even close. What I'm saying is they're two entirely different games.
I love the ladies.
Oh, hey, Jody is another. Morning, Christy. Welcome in, sweetheart.
Jody Hammett. Yeah.
Mercy guy.
Yeah. Good guy. Really, really good guy. Beating me like he owes me money.
No.
No, beating me like I owe him money.
There you go. Oh, hey, can you grab some Ogeron cuts from Monday?
You know I like to win.
Yeah, I know.
So am I willing to do stupid stuff to win? Yes.
Miles Brennan. Let's see that one. Jason Hines. And go back to that other folder. Let's get some Max Johnson cuts. We're going to Max Johnson first. Oh, cool. .617 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP Sports Time on Talk 107.3. Always a little bit off in a bye week when LSU's in a bye week. Always a little bit different of a format. One of the things Coach Ed Ogeron was asked about at his Monday press conference was about injuries. We'll get to that in just a second. I want to start though with LSU's quarterback Max Johnson. God, feels like he's been at the helm forever because it dates back to last season. One of the things as fans we have to remember is it only dates back to 2 games of last season. The last 2 games of last season. The Florida game, the Ole Miss game. I mean, he went 2-0. And then spilling over into this season. No, that wasn't a misspeak. He did go 2-0. Spilling over into this season. So, essentially, if you're looking at his stat line, you're still looking at a freshman. Max Johnson was asked during player interviews yesterday how he feels about his progress.
Of course I am. I think I've made a lot of improvements from last year. Last year I understood, kind of our reads, but this year I'm kind of understanding our reads and the defense.
So he's been progressing. Still got a long way to go, though. Now, that being said, questions keep coming up about, is there a question at the quarterback position? Most folks asking about Garret Nussmeier. And Ogeron has addressed that repeatedly, saying Max Johnson's the quarterback, Max Johnson's the quarterback. But what about the guy who's been on the shelf all year because he's been hurt? Is Miles Brennan anywhere near returning?
Yeah, he was thrown the other day. I don't expect him back next week. I have not talked to him. Bo hasn't said anything about him practicing. I don't think he's ready to practice right now, and I don't expect him back next week.
What about the next week, though? Anyway. While we're updating injuries, Ed Ogeron had one more. I believe this is on Neil Farrell's status. No, who's it on? Chasen Hines status. That's my bad. Go ahead.
Chase on as well, maybe?
Maybe. Not able to practice in the next couple of days, but I think he's going to be ready for Alabama.
Well, that's good news. Any good news on the offensive line, we'll take it and run. So LSU off this week, playing Alabama next week, another 11 a.m. kickoff. I don't know what to do. It's 3-1 season, man. What do you do with that? Other than stop sucking. What do you do with that? 3 11 a.m. kickoffs. Now, if you're a Tiger fan looking for some sort of respite, LSU's 2-0 at 11 a.m. There's that. Anyway, 11 a.m. next weekend against Alabama. Off this week. So this is the weekend where everybody schedules everything. Good luck getting everything else under the sun done. Then right back out to close out the season. Boom, 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 boom. All right. Quick break. Fox Business Report coming your way right now. When we come back, Senator Bill Cassidy was on the Senate floor addressing the opioid crisis. We've got some audio next. All right.
The spice must flow.
What?
I said the spice must flow.
The spice must flow?
It's from Dune.
Oh.
It's a novel. Then it was a 1984 movie. Now it's a 2021 movie. Dune. D-U-N-E.
Yes, I've heard of Dune.
You never watched it?
No.
What's the temperature going to be later today? A little cold? A little cold?
Too wet to worry about. It'll be cold because the rain's going to be cold.
But like the real cold front is going to be tomorrow, right? High 71, low 55? And then
Yes.
Friday, high 65, low 52.
Yes. I'm going to get my Red Bull. I will be right back.
Downstairs coffee?
Yeah, you want some?
Yeah, you don't mind topping me off. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
That's not nice. I know where it's from. So look, if you're listening on on YouTube right now, I think we all can agree that a Franz Borghardt morning show, it would work. It would work. Just throw that. Yeah, morning shows with Franz Borghardt. Makes perfect sense. Clucks and balances. Thank you, sir. Today is the 26th, 27th. Good morning, Byron. Good morning, Renee. Good morning, Eric. Tiffany, shout out to you and Cliffster. Is Tiffany's husband Cliff or Clinton? Clinton. Clinton. Shout out to Clinton.
Why shout out to Clinton?
Just Tiffany's on. I want to say shout
Okay.
out to him.
I mean, I never have a problem with that. He's a good dude. All right. 624 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Attorney Franz Borghardt's going to be up in our next segment. We got a lot to talk about. It's time to dive into the whole the shooting on the set of Rust, where a prop gun took the life of a cinematographer and put another person in the hospital. Alec Baldwin, trigger man on it for sure. But what's to come of this? What level of fallout will there be? Will there be charges? That's actually being talked about right now by the district attorney out there. The headline reading, Alec Baldwin's Rust movie shooting. Criminal charges are on the table, district attorney says. We will break that down with attorney Franz Borghardt in our next segment. Meanwhile, yesterday, Senator Bill Cassidy was on the Senate floor. Good place for a senator to be. He was talking about a number of things, not the least of which is the opioid crisis, the ongoing opioid crisis. This has been a topic that we've covered seemingly ad nauseum. And it feels like the more attention is paid to it, the worse the crisis gets. Now, that's not the fault of the attention being paid to it, and certainly you don't take your foot off the gas, but it's one that doesn't lead to a lot of hope right now. Cassidy addressing fellow lawmakers in D.C. about the crisis in Louisiana, where 1,900 Louisianans have lost their lives to opioids last year and then on into this year. Cassidy says the Bayou State has seen the highest increase in deaths in the nation since last year.
Louisiana drug overdose deaths surpassed a record high 2,100 in the 12 months leading to March 2021. Overdose mortality increased statewide by over 56% last year. These numbers are devastating.
They are devastating. And you're going to hear more about this in our news at the bottom of the hour for sure. They are devastating. And you heard him reference March of last year, that, of course, being important because that's when the pandemic kicked in. And that's when stay-at-home orders kicked in. And that's when isolationism kicked in. And that's when all the other issues that exacerbate addiction really, really ramped up. Now, back in 2018, Congress passed landmark opioid legislation. Cassidy says that for the first time in almost 30 years, the number of opioid deaths decreased then. But all that changed once everyone was at home, once everyone was isolated, once everyone was out of their network, lost their coping mechanisms, and the like.
Louisiana became the top state in drug overdose growth during COVID-19. The pressure of the pandemic, the subsequent influx of fentanyl from other countries, all this increased drug addiction and hence drug death.
And those deaths took a backseat to COVID deaths, as did every other type of death out there. And when it comes down to it, death is death. So why would one death be more important than the other? Well, COVID took over everything. Look, we've had the coroner on the show repeatedly to talk about the opioid crisis. But admittedly, we had him on more before COVID to talk about the opioid crisis. This month, we're paying a lot of attention to domestic violence. We talked with Chris Nakamoto about it yesterday. Domestic violence has been on an absolute torrent since the beginning of the pandemic, up to and including 5 deaths last weekend. But COVID deaths still rule the headlines. So Cassidy is encouraging lawmakers to renew a focus on the drug epidemic because while you can get the shot for COVID-19, there is no vaccination for addiction.
Provide resources to stop illegal drugs at the border, support the discovery of non-addictive painkillers, and deliver treatment to those who are already addicted.
Now, if you missed Medical Monday this week, I highly recommend going to talk1073.com and checking it out. We spoke with Dr. Melanie McKnight about exactly this, about the opioid crisis and where we are. And there was a question, one of the questions I asked was about alternatives. One of the biggest, there's 3 problems with the opioid crisis that make it continue to just exacerbate it. Number one, it's not starting like the crack epidemic did. It's starting in doctors' offices. It's starting with prescription drugs, or at least it started that way. Number 2, what's being sold on the street once the prescription drug is taken away is not an opioid. It's straight up poison. This synthetic fentanyl or whatever it might be, it's no longer a drug. A drug can have a positive and negative effect. It is just straight up poison and is killing people. And number 3, the opioids work. That's the problem with them. I mean, if you took them and they didn't have the desired effect from jump, you wouldn't take them long enough to get addicted. They work for their desired purpose. So what you have to have is something that replaces working for that desired purpose. One of the things Dr. McKnight talked about, and I'm not putting words in her mouth, to go listen to the actual interview. Medical marijuana is not going to be a solve-all. It's not going to be a catch-all to solve all of our problems, but it will be a good first step as an alternative prescription for so much of this when it comes to pain, when it comes to nausea, that sort of thing. The advancement of medical marijuana, while not an end in itself, can be a very strong means to an end in this overall fight. Like we said, we'll have more from Senator Cassidy in our news here at the bottom of the hour. First, we'll check in with CBS. We'll also hit traffic and weather before Attorney Franz Borghardt is in for Legally Served next. My 9-year-old wants the vaccine.
Okay.
My 14-year-old was a lot more hesitant.
Okay. I'm boosted, baby. All good.
You're boosted.
I'm boosted.
I'm holding out.
Best bring kryptonite. That's not true.
Yeah, I'm holding out this time. I'm not getting boosted till I get paid.
I'm not getting boosted until I get paid.
You're damn
Are
right.
you an LSU student?
Hey, when the vaccine came out and I was told it was a responsible thing to do, I did it. A month later, you got a lottery. A month after that, you're getting $100. You're getting gift cards to like great restaurants like the Olive Garden.
So you're the guy that only does things if you're compensated for it.
No, I'm the guy who's able to learn once he makes the mistake the first time. If I tell you you can get boosted, or I can tell you can get boosted and get $100, which one are you doing? You're going to forego that $100?
Nobody had to pay me to do the right thing. Although if you pay me, I will also do the right thing.
One would argue that defending the innocent is the right thing, but you get
I'll
paid
take
handsomely for it.
I absolutely
Okay.
take money to do my job.
Well, it is your job as a citizen to protect the others. So get paid.
Whatever happened to, speaking of that, whatever happened to our friend the Reverend?
I don't know.
Central?
I don't know. I'm sure he's floating around 4chan or something.
I mean, he needs to be sweating life right now. No mask mandates out. I mean, how's he going to get attention? Sorry.
You remember, it's been about 3 months since we've heard from him. He should be rearing his head right about now. I mean, it's probably a good time to be on the lookout for a runaway bus. Too soon?
He, hit a guy with a bus.
And that's why he had the ankle monitor in the first place, when he's making it sound like he's a martyr for his cause.
No, you ran over somebody with a bus.
Yeah.
Brick killed a guy with a trident. That's how whenever I talk about him, I feel like we're having the Anchorman discussion.
Yeah, Brick killed a guy.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you
Pastor
about
ran
that.
a guy over with a bus. To be fair, that video, he did not run the guy over.
No, he hit him. He assaulted him. I don't even think he hit him. It was
He didn't hit him.
He led him to believe.
Right.
So the record's clear.
Right.
He led him to believe he was going to hit him with a bus.
Right.
A few drops of pee came out.
Yeah. The video was weak sauce. Like, you could have gotten more out of the pastor. You didn't do enough to antagonize him at that point. And the guy was there to antagonize him. It's a rare day that I'm going to have that dude's back, but I'll have his back.
I got to tell you, man, Tiffany's kind of coming in painfully on me. You get paid to do the wrong thing all day long. That hurts, Tiffany.
Wow.
That hurts. You know, when Tiffany came to me for some love,
Yeah.
I used blood money to help contribute to that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So in a way, the wrong thing can do the right thing.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
I'm not even on the YouTubes yet.
That's okay.
I'm so far behind everything this morning.
Hey, Clinton. Eric.
Yeah, Eric, so, and I appreciate the emails. I do. We were already on it. Something went wrong at about 5:40 this morning, where commercials just fired off randomly, which never happens. Computers follow commands unless acted upon by an outside force, so I don't know what happened. But commercials fired off randomly, and then in trying to get the show back on the air, the CBS channel got turned on, And I don't know why our CBS channel carries WWL. I would feel like those would be two different channels. So anyway, WWL got turned on as well. WWL did not get turned back off until like 6:03. Because I don't know why we have access to that as a thing. Morning, Clinton. Morning, Byron. Morning, Tiffany as well. Cool. Oh, come on. Okay, Eric, at least you caught the joke.
Too soon.
What,
Too
Olive
soon.
Garden?
Olive Garden shooting, too soon.
I wasn't even talking about the shooting. I was just talking about
do
Olive
like
Garden
a good
sucking.
soup and salad, all-you-can-eat combo. The bread, those hot little bread rolls. Oh, I miss Olive Garden.
I don't.
You don't like Olive Garden? Hating on Olive Garden, huh?
Can't say I'm a fan.
I mean,
I don't dislike Olive
some
Garden.
of us are people of the people. And Olive Garden's like a.
Oh, shut up with that.
I mean,
Don't even try it.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
Booyah, pinky out. Olive Garden. You know, those are really near each other too. Booyah's good there.
Yeah,
Those
man, that's
burgers.
good. They are really near each other. Forget how close Olive Garden is on Seagan. Mostly because I never go to Olive Garden.
Someone brought up the slider challenge.
Oh.
And was like, I bet you couldn't even eat 10 at this point.
I don't think you and I combined could eat 20 at this point.
I don't think I could eat 10 at this point. I think I would be sick.
Yeah.
I think I'm maybe good for about 4.
Yeah. It's a good thing.
Munjudi's is good.
Yes, it is time for Legally Served. Yes, it is time to welcome in attorney Franz Borghardt. Franz, what's happening, man?
Gentlemen, folks listening to Talk 107.3 or YouTube Live, good morning.
We got a lot to dive into today, but I got to reverse the order here.
Okay.
Okay. Well, not reverse the order. Go Rouge will still tease at the end of the
Go
segment.
Rouge, Friday. Kim Mulkey.
Yeah.
Kim Mulkey. I got the
Yeah.
LSU women's basketball coach coming on my show.
Darn right you do.
I'm trying to get Ozer on.
Just in time.
trying to get Ozer on.
Oh,
Joking,
you know what?
kid.
Oh, wait. You know what? I think we're going to have to bump Go Rouge this weekend.
Oh.
It's you bring up Kim Mulkey. That's exactly why they've got it. No. You're good. Pre-game doesn't start till 1:30. So here's how it's going to go. Saturday, Go Rouge noon to 1.
Okay.
Then half an hour of the brand, and then pre-game for LSU women's basketball. It is upon us.
So if you're chilling out between the hours of 5 and 7 tonight, and you're near Perkins Row, staying out of the weather, you can go by Kendra Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Real men wear pink. Brian Haldane. Kendra Scott's doing a 20% give back. So if you spend some money at Kendra Scott tonight, 20% goes to fight breast cancer with American Cancer Society. You're going to have Dave on later this morning.
Yeah, we're going to run down the leaderboard, if you will.
I want to talk about that.
That's all right.
I'm a little insecure about what's going on.
You
over there.
shouldn't be insecure
I'm
about it.
Second
place is very respectable.
If you're second, you're the first loser.
It's very respectable.
Ricky Bobby.
Because it's not about a scoreboard. It's about an overall pool of money.
So do you know the difference between a prop gun and a real gun?
Yeah.
I dug in on this a little
I
bit.
do. Just look at your emojis.
I know, right? So
It's green and has a
prop
red
gun
cap on it.
apparently can fire. A prop gun can fire real bullets. It's
Mm-hmm.
designed to fire blanks, though.
Yeah.
And then I dug down a little bit. What is a blank? It's a bullet without a projectile on it.
Right. It's a shell casing, correct?
So this is it's with the powder and all that. This is important, right?
Yeah.
Because we're about to talk about Alec Baldwin. Coffee's for closers.
Yes.
If you're watching on YouTube Live, what's your favorite Alec Baldwin movie? Beetlejuice.
It's either Beetlejuice or Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah.
Or, this is way off the map, Outside Providence.
My favorite Alec Baldwin line, you want a God complex? I am God.
Where's
My
that one
Batman
from?
voice,
Oh.
where he was a doctor.
Okay.
Nicole Kidman was in that movie.
Also, how terrible was he in The Departed? Like, as bad as Martin Sheen's accent
he played a good overweight FBI agent. So, okay. Should Alec Baldwin get charged with a crime for shooting a photography director while practicing assuming you believe that he was really just practicing drawing? I'll let you set it up.
Okay, so the accidental shooting on the set of the upcoming Western film Rust could result in criminal charges, according to a district attorney. Mary Carmack Altwise of New Mexico's 1st District told the New York Times that they, quote, haven't ruled out anything when it comes to the future of the case. On Thursday, actor Alec Baldwin was rehearsing a scene for the film outside of Santa Fe when he discharged a firearm he was told was cold or unloaded. A projectile from the gun struck and ultimately killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Director Joel Souza was also injured, but has since been released from the hospital. Let's start unpacking this, shall we? First of all, it's rehearsal.
Right.
You actually pull the trigger in rehearsal and don't just yell bang?
I think his argument is it accidentally discharged. That is what he's going to say.
I'm an owner of a firearm, and unless I'm pulling the trigger...
Well, so there's safety protocols that go with handling firearms. You don't hold your finger on the trigger.
Correct.
However, when you're practicing drawing, you're doing something inherently in and of itself dangerous. Mm-hmm. You're aiming it at a camera, which means there's someone behind said camera, which was really not necessary.
Also correct.
Why did that guy have to be behind it if it's practicing? There's a lot of things going on. Do you believe that someone yelled out "cold gun," which means
I don't.
Which means there's no bullet in there,
right?
Or it's not dangerous. Bigger picture. Alec Baldwin is not going to be charged with 1st or 2nd degree murder on this.
No.
It's a negligent homicide of some sort.
Right.
If he gets charged at all.
So let's ask this. Should he be, if only to walk through the process?
Well, we are in a society, we just love our sound bites and charging people. Mm-hmm. We love it. But on the other side of the coin, we have someone who's been shot and is dead.
Exactly. And is that death not worth exploring the space?
So I think arresting him makes for huge headlines, and I think a law enforcement agency is going to be under pressure to do that, because if you don't do it, you're going to get huge headlines. I think the DA's office. Where was this? Was this in L.A.?
No, Santa Fe. Oh, where was the
shooting happened in
Santa Fe.
Santa Fe. So DA's office in Santa Fe.
Yeah, New Mexico's 1st district.
Huge is about to get more publicity than it's probably ever seen.
Oh, the residents in Santa Fe.
And why do I bring this up? Why do I bring the publicity feature or facet up? Because these are elected officials. And now they're about to be on a national platform.
Right.
Okay? Do we make decisions sometimes based on what's right? Absolutely. Do we make decisions sometimes on political posturing and what appears to be right? Absolutely.
Do we make decisions based off of prolonging our fame?
Yes.
Wow.
Pass or smell.
You could say him. You could say the judge over there in the Parkland shooting. You could say Anthony Fauci for that matter.
This is nothing new to us. This is not a new novel human personality trait.
Right.
Now, that being said, a smart prosecutor would work with law enforcement, would gather all the evidence, see the contradictions, see what is fact undisputed, see what is disputed, would present it to a grand jury of citizens and let them decide.
Right.
That is what a smart prosecutor is. Now, I am not all about people haphazardly being arrested. This falls into the category of a negligent act. So we should not, I don't believe we should treat him in the same way that we should treat in terms of violent offender, in terms of risk to society. He probably, I don't know what his criminal record is. Now, Alec Baldwin, I'm told, has a bad boy
history of anger.
Yeah,
definitely a history of anger.
Does that really come into this?
Why wouldn't it?
It's a negligent act. If he's practicing drawing a firearm, what does this anger have to do with any of that?
Well,
You're trying to paint him with a brush.
No. Here's where we get into some muddy waters, though. His job, his career, is to make people believe he's feeling something he's not. So we have no idea whether or not this was based in anger.
So are you suggesting?
We have no idea if it was if he's a good actor, we should have no idea if this was an accident.
I'm keeping an eye on time here. Are you suggesting that an actor a good actor, and I'm willing to say that Alec Baldwin's been around for a little bit.
It's been a bit,
Yeah. Are we saying that he can never get a fair shake because he's once an actor, always an actor? And we can never judge sincerity?
It's a question to be asked.
Well, so here's the thing, though. Does an anger, rage, whatever issue have anything to do with the accidental discharge, whether it's an accidental discharge with the firing of a gun or it went off?
Okay, so we're going to pick that up, and we're also going to pick it up with the celebrity angle as well. Because would we know about his anger or rage if there was no celebrity involved in this? He's got private voicemails that are very, very public because of paparazzi and tabloids and the like. That's where we're going to pick it up. Got to take a quick break, though. We're going to check traffic. We're going to check your money now. This is Legally Served, a supporter of Mornings with Brian Haldane on Talk 107.3.
If it's a revolver, then he could still check the cylinder.
Can you know the difference between a blank and a live bullet when checking the cylinder? I would imagine they would look the same from the back because that's where the gunpowder's at.
Right.
The part where the hammer hits is going to be the part that looks the same. It's not like he's looking through an empty slot.
My problem is
Hunt for Red October. Troy wins.
Oh, that was a good movie, Troy. My problem is what are we trying to do here? Are we trying to make him into an arch criminal villain? Because that's simply not going to work in this set of facts. If you want to make him into a careless narcissist that was reckless and dangerous, well, maybe.
Hang on. What are we trying to do here? We're trying to find the truth.
Justice.
And the truth.
The American way.
The truth should probably start with the person who pulled the trigger.
Yes.
And then go to the person
who pulled the trigger.
And then go to the person who handed him the gun.
Does a revolver ever spontaneously just go off?
Not that I've ever seen.
I'm not a gun expert. I don't know the answer to that.
I mean,
Clinton brings up a good point. If his finger is on the trigger and it goes off because he pulled the trigger, that is an issue.
Right.
However, Clinton, guys, do you think he wanted to shoot the guy in front of him?
Doesn't matter.
It does matter. If you're going to paint him as a monster, and that's kind of what society at large, this is me taking on a bigger issue. It is, Byron points out the best thing. This is a civil suit. To me, this really is a civil suit.
Well, is negligence a civil suit?
Absolutely. The insurance for the movie should cover it.
Negligence doesn't cover anything criminal.
You can have both.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying, in my mind, this is really a civil suit or a civil issue. I don't think Alec Baldwin, this is my prediction, guys, Alec Baldwin does not see a day of jail in this.
Oh, no one thinks he's going to see jail.
Kim Mulkey.
Yeah.
I may have a crush on Kim. I'm just going to go there.
She's available.
She's available? She's single?
Divorced, yeah.
Huh? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Man, she would really be stepping down a notch if she goes out with this guy. Byron brings up a point. There were a lot of safety issues on that set.
So this is not the first time a weapon was accidentally discharged on this particular set. This was the third time.
Who's in charge of the safety protocols on this set?
I had that in a previous...
I think Alec Baldwin is the producer, if I'm not mistaken. But can you impute the entire safety mechanism? This, by the way, this is regulated. Safety protocols of this nature should be regulated. I'm quite sure that Hollywood has some regulations for this.
Oh, and they have unions that oversee the actual, like only one person can grab this thing and
Only one person can grab this thing.
Hello.
Hello.
Also, you had a walk-off of a number of the props people.
When you say walk-off, like a runway walk-off, like Zoolander? Or no, like people leaving the set?
Like they walked off the set. We're talking about a strike was just averted.
Was it based on safety or was it based on other
Safety.
issues? Yeah. Well, does that help? If he's not in charge of safety issues, does that help him? Is he in charge of safety issues? He's supposed to be protected by the safety issues.
Okay, let's pick that up there.
Oh, Gaga. Oh, Lady Gaga.
652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Legally served as part of Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Attorney Franz Borghardt in with us for another 7.5 minutes. Franz, as we were going into the break, you were asking a question. We might have already been in the break when you asked this question. What are we trying to do here?
Yeah, what are we trying to
Are
accomplish
we trying to
as a
pin
society?
something on Alec Baldwin as a
Right.
monster? No. We're trying to find the truth in the whole thing as to who's responsible for this.
Does media allow us to do that?
See, that's the question. And I don't
Because
know that I
that's
have
the
an
big-
answer.
That's a big question.
No, it is. It is because Alec Baldwin has a history of angry tirades, right?
Right.
But if he's not Alec Baldwin, do we even know about them?
Well,
do we know about
and-
voicemails with his daughter?
And does the history of the angry tirades really have any kind of relevance to what's going on here?
I don't know. Does burning ants with a magnifying glass have
Well,
anything to do with a
that's-
serial killer?
Well, when are they burning the ants? Kids do stupid stuff.
I know.
Does
It's
it mean
cru-
that they're a sociopath or a
Does,
psychopath?
does cruelty to animals have anything to do with a serial killer?
Did Alec Baldwin do cruelty to the animals?
No, I'm just saying if one leads to one, then one leads to the other.
Dogs are man's best friend. Now, here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Who's responsible for the safety protocols and safety on that set?
One
Is it
would
the
think-
actor? Is it the actor? Or is the actor himself or herself supposed to be aided by the safety protocols so that they don't shoot some poor soul?
Right. Which brings up the whole prop master and their union, and they had a number of
Right.
employees walk off the set because of, get this, safety issues. Now, I don't know who thought having a number of employees walk off the set would thereby make the set safer, which then brings up the next question of why did production continue if you've got an unsafe set with fewer employees overlooking that safety?
So if I'm a prosecutor, I'm going to say a gun, even a replica, even a fake gun, should be respected and should be given the sort of caution that doesn't let you point it at somebody.
Right.
However, they're making a movie where at some point he is going to point a firearm at a camera. That is happening, right? Can we agree that at some point while filming he is going to do this?
Yes.
So that safety protocol, whether he's practicing or pointing it at a human being, is going to happen at some point in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Number two, if I was a defense attorney, I would argue Alec Baldwin's an actor.
Right.
Good actor, bad actor, I don't care. He's an actor. He's not responsible for ensuring the safety protocols are being followed on set. He is supposed to be protected, just like the film, just like the victim of this is supposed to be protected. Now, we talked as we were going into the break, there's a civil side of this and a criminal side of this.
Right.
Negligent act, definitely going to be covered by the insurance of the film. So somebody is likely going to get paid on this.
Oh, yeah.
From a civil standpoint. Whether or not Alec Baldwin is prosecuted or not, or at least if this matter goes to a grand jury, which I do think it should go to a grand jury. You want an exploration for the truth, you give all the evidence to the grand jury and say, you guys decide. And you get to do it in a confidential manner. You get to do it with them getting all the evidence.
Here,
Go ahead.
So, but the next question becomes, if not Alec Baldwin, let's move past Alec Baldwin's level of guilt, right?
Okay.
Then who? How do you narrow this down within the
You could
prop
charge.
guys?
You could charge the person responsible for safety protocols with negligent homicide, just like you could charge Alec Baldwin.
Or do
It's
you?
an act of negligence.
Yes.
It is not a specific intent crime.
Here's where I'm going with this, though. If you've got guys walk off the set because of safety, and you've got safety issues to begin with, and this discharge of this weapon was not the first discharge of a weapon on this particular set, with all this under consideration, are we not looking at the producers of the film to say, why didn't you halt production at all?
Is Alec Baldwin the producer of the film?
I don't know. But you walk into like a Deepwater Horizon scenario, right?
We saw this on a local level here in Baton Rouge. Let's bring it back to back. Can we bring it back home?
Always.
Hazing.
Oh.
Hazing. Yeah. We saw Bible study. We saw Nakan get prosecuted for negligent homicide and get convicted. Mm-hmm. But they also prosecuted a whole bunch of other guys for hazing.
Yeah.
Now, Nakan's the only one prosecuted for negligent homicide. Could they have prosecuted the other guys allowing the line to happen for negligent homicide because they allowed Nakan to do what Nakan was doing? Yes, they absolutely could. We call it principles.
Okay.
Principles, accessories, principles. You're a principal to a crime. If I drive the car during a robbery, and you're the one who goes into the bank with the gun and robs the bank, and I'm driving the car, and you get back in the car and I drive away, I'm just as much responsible for the robbery as you are.
Yeah.
It's called a principal to armed robbery. So we've seen this on a local level, that people can get charged for contributing to an act, okay? Even a negligent act.
Yeah.
Negligent homicide, hazing. Now, hazing is more of a specific intent crime, but yeah. Now, they didn't get charged, though.
Right.
Alec Baldwin is in it for the long haul. I do predict he's never going to go to jail.
I agree with that. But I don't think anybody's going to go to jail as a result of this.
Now,
and it's going to open up so many other questions that are going to have to remain unanswered for right now, because we have 2 minutes left, and there's no way we're not talking about Real Men Wear Pink.
I do want to say one real fast.
Go.
I think we do need to not lose sight of the fact that whether you like Alec Baldwin or not, he's a human being. Mm-hmm. And I would believe, whether or not you can discern it because he's an actor or not, I believe this dude probably feels terrible about what happened.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
I don't think we should lose sight of that.
No, we shouldn't.
Okay.
We shouldn't. But that shouldn't enter the courtroom either.
Real Men Wear Pink.
Yes.
Real Men Wear Pink until the last day of October. October is Breast Cancer Awareness. Mm-hmm. Today, 5 to 7, go to Kendra Scott. If you spend any money, 20% of every dollar you spend will go to help fight breast cancer. It will be contributed to American Cancer Society, Real Men Wear Pink initiative. If you buy online, you can go to the Go Rouge page, and you don't even have to get out in this weather. You can buy online.
Okay.
There's some gifts and goodies that are going to be given away. Also, Kendra Scott is giving back to cancer survivors. So when you spend a certain threshold of money, they also will give some jewelry out. Kendra Scott's great jewelry. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic jewelry. God bless them for giving 20% back. I'll be out there from 5 to 7 if you want to come hang out with me. I will be DJing the event.
You'll be DJing the event? I don't think you're DJing the event.
No, I'll just be hanging out and chatting.
And that'd be weird having a DJ inside the Kendra Scott outlet there at the Perkins. It's Perkins Row, right?
It's Perkins Road,
yeah.
Kendra Scott. Look, I think you should come out, support a great cause. Franz Borghardt's not getting a cut of this money. I'm just trying to fight breast cancer. # save second base.
So today is October 27th. Yeah. Have you figured out which of your pink garments are not going to make the cut before the 31st?
Well, I'm wearing my pink shirt today.
I know, with pink on the tie as well.
I'm shopping for something glittery and pink to wear on the last day.
Oh, God.
A mask. What do you think? I'm not wearing a pink banana hammock. But
the last day, by the way,
show.
It's not a kid show. The last day, by the way, is Halloween, so that's going to be a Sunday.
This has been a great. Let me say this. Thank you to the American Cancer Society for letting me participate. It's been a great experience.
And thank you, Franz, for hopping in for Legally Served. We're going to continue this discussion for a couple minutes during news, which is now. All right. Here's another question for you that I cannot, no matter how hard I rack my brain, I can't get an answer for. Why do they have guns that fire at all? They have sound effects, guys.
That's a good question.
Why isn't a gun whittled out of a piece of wood and painted black?
So when I was going down the rabbit hole in preparation for today's show, which I do actually prep for your show, I was looking at like revolver guns that are like cap guns.
Yeah.
We could use a cap gun.
Right.
Okay. I don't know why they would be firing blanks. They would argue that we are trying to create a artistic world that is as real as possible. I think they would argue that. I don't know the answer to that question, though. What?
You can create a replica that is every bit as visually real, and you have a sound effects guy who has the actual audio of that same gun being fired in real life.
Do you believe someone screamed out cold?
No, I don't. And I also, here's where my biggest question comes up.
Do you have any reason to believe that that's a lie?
I have no reason to believe it's a lie, and I also don't believe that it's true.
Okay, fair enough. Let's say we live in a universe, a multiverse, where there is a universe where someone screamed it out.
Okay.
Does that clear him?
When it comes to a gun that has the potential to kill someone, not a gun that's whittled out of a chunk of wood,
All right.
there should be redundancies
The other
there.
guys.
Oh, is that?
The other guys, he gets a wooden gun, a prop gun.
But
So for you as a juror,
for me as a
it
juror,
wouldn't matter if Alec Baldwin heard the phrase, assuming it was said.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't matter if someone had screamed out "cold gun." For you as a juror,
you're still. There's so many things that you can't answer that question in a vacuum.
well, let me rephrase,
And here's why.
let me
Number one,
rephrase
it was
the question.
rehearsal.
Right, let me rephrase the question. For you, it's just as negligent.
Yes.
His handling of the gun was just as negligent, whether or not he knew or shouldn't have known, because someone that handles a firearm should believe at all times it's loaded with a live round, one in the chamber, and that when you pointed at somebody...
Yeah, I'm trying to find the comp. There needs to be a comparison here that I just haven't gotten a grip on yet.
okay.
Is that
It's a good story. Look,
It
this
is.
a good topic.
here's the part that we haven't brought up yet, though. Helena Hutchins is one of two people who were shot. That's the part I'm having a lot more trouble with, is the fact that the director was shot as well.
Well, was it one bullet that went through and then winged the other person, or was it multiple?
I don't know. I don't know. Do we have a magic bullet?
Well, we do know. Okay, so from a ballistic standpoint, we do know that bullets can go through human beings,
Turn
hit-
right in midair.
well, and
Hit
other-
Governor Connolly.
and hit other human beings. You want to make it into a silly magic bullet thing. I'm giving you forensics here. I mean, I'm on this to give you real life forensics.
No, I know.
And criminal justice, that can happen. That is a thing. I would be curious to see if it was more than one bullet.
Yeah.
Back and to the left. Back
Don't accuse me of
to
being
the left.
because you know it's apt.
Back and to the left. Maybe Kevin Costner's best movie ever.
Here's the other part of this. Is it allows for the possibility of every conspiracy theory to be explored. Like, was the cinematographer working on a documentary that was going to expose child pornography in Hollywood? Was the cinematographer's husband a lawyer who's
Hey.
prosecuting Clinton?
Hey, you want to put Alec Baldwin in jail or no? No. He's never going to jail, right?
No, he's not going to jail. I keep saying that.
Yeah, I got a question you can think about all day.
What's that?
Today's the biggest day in LSU football history.
No, it's not.
Just something to think about. Let me know.
It's a Wednesday of a bye week. Okay.
I'm out.
All right, brother.
I got court, got some trials.
We got Kendra Scott, 5 to
I can't
7.
wait to get some Kendra Scott jewelry so I can get piercings. Actually, they do have good men's jewelry. I will be purchasing tonight.
Good men's jewelry. That phrase
I know
left
you
your
don't-
mouth.
I mean, you wear a ring. I mean, that's
Right,
jewelry.
that's the only jewelry
I wear a watch.
there is.
I mean, it is.
Is a watch jewelry? It's functional.
Yeah, it's called men's jewelry. Your ring is a sacred symbol of the
Correct.
covenant between you and your wife.
Is a watch jewelry?
Yes.
It has a function though. I'm going to. Thank you. Oh. Yes, Tiffany, that's the point that I've been trying to make as well. You have sound effects, you have CGI, you have everything else. Whittle a gun. Not looking forward to this storm today. In fact, you know what? I need to bump a story to make room for that in top stories and trending. 706, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Jake Barty producing, and thanks, super big thanks to attorney Franz Borghardt for hopping on for a very lively segment about the death of Helena Hutchins. She was the cinematographer on the movie Rust. She was shot and killed last week when there was a misfiring or an accidental discharge of a weapon on the movie set with Alec Baldwin. So there's still so much to unpack from that. So many questions left unanswered, and so many questions not even asked yet. And all the while, it's going to get overlooked very quickly that a woman did die in the incident. But the celebrity status is going to take over, and all the intrigue behind that is going to take over, and Helena Hutchins will still be dead. Got a busy hour for you this hour. Congressman Garret Graves is set to join us at 7:35 for D.C. Current. Our next segment is going to be chock full of the governor. Governor John Bel Edwards held a press conference yesterday about lifting the mask mandate. We'll have more on that in our top stories and trending and on our next segment. Actually, before we get you to top stories and trending, going to ask you what you're doing for lunch today. Can I interest you in a burger? 2 locations of Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. Segan Lane, just north of Industrialplex, or Blue Bonnet at Highland. What you're going to find at both locations is the same great service, the same top quality ingredients, the same fantastic selection of burgers. And when I say top quality ingredients, I'm talking about their potato buns are baked fresh daily. Their French fries, cooked fresh all the time, a lot more frequently than daily. Ingredients, fresh vegetables, cut daily as well, and certified Angus beef. Along with the selection of burgers that they've got customizable burgers as well. You can build your own. Don't ever worry about being subject to the burgers that are on the menu, even though the burgers that are already on the menu are phenomenal. I'm a Diablo guy. I was a double Diablo guy, lost a little weight. Now I'm just a Diablo guy. Oh, by the way, if you're looking to cut a few pounds, if you're dieting, they can help you out. They've got a paleo burger. They've got a low-cal burger. They've also got a black bean. I don't think you can call it an Impossible Burger, but it's a meatless burger. I hesitate to say it, but I tried it, and it's decent. It's like really good. It's actually very good if you're going the meatless route. But you can get yourself a classic double cheeseburger. A mushroom Swiss is on the menu, the cheddar bacon burger, the A1 cheeseburger. They've got the indulgent barbecue. The best queso Nario is a popular one. Get yourself some queso right on the burger. Just a handful of the selections that are on the menu at Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. 2 locations, Blue Bonnet at Highland or Segan just north of Industrialplex for Mooyah. Great place to stop off for lunch today. All right, time for top stories and trending. Let's get it. A police officer arrested 4 times in the wake of a corruption investigation at the Baton Rouge Police Department was formally charged yesterday. Jason Acree was first arrested back in February after he was accused of taking marijuana from a BRPD evidence locker and giving it to a friend. An investigation also uncovered video of Acree smashing open the safe while out on a call. That video was from a 2018 drug case where a suspect was later arrested and convicted. Yesterday, he was formally charged with malfeasance in office, possession with intent to distribute marijuana, perjury, and filing false public records. Those charges were tied to incidents that happened between September of 2020 and November of 2020. Bishop Duca has sounded off. The Diocese of Baton Rouge decided masks will be optional in church services and in Catholic schools. Diocese said more details will be released later in the week on COVID mitigation measures and guidelines, but they did put out a statement that included, given the declining infection rates, not only in the greater Baton Rouge area, but throughout Louisiana, I am now modifying several of our practices based on medical advice, wisdom, and recommendations from state leaders. Continuing from Bishop Duca's statement, While I continue to encourage the wearing of masks by and among those who feel vulnerable, masks will no longer be required in places of worship or indoors in parochial facilities. In addition, mask wearing will be optional in Catholic schools within the diocese. This change in policy is effective immediately. Troubling story from our news partners at WBRZ. Staff work in fear at the juvenile jail, worried renegade teens are planning another escape less than 2 weeks after a bloody jailbreak. In early October, 5 teenagers jailed on murder, attempted murder, and robbery charges overpowered guards with a shank and escaped the juvenile facility in East Baton Rouge near the airport. One of the 5 teenagers who escaped remained free and on the run as of yesterday. The escape in earlier October involved Xavier Cade, a teenager facing murder charges who had been released from custody once before and was found to be in violation of his ankle monitor agreement. Sources tell WBRZ's chief investigator Chris Nakamoto Cade was behind another attempted escape this week. Late Monday or early Tuesday, Cade allegedly punched a guard and targeted a female guard in an attempt to overpower security and steal keys. Guards had the keys hidden and were able to convince Cade to calm down and get back to his jail cell. Got to be weather aware today. Your forecast for the middle of the day throughout the afternoon could be severe. We got a slight risk of severe weather from Baton Rouge on east. Some areas, including Baton Rouge and Ascension Parish, are in a 3 out of 5 and has enhanced risk for high winds and possible tornadoes. Showers and storms are going to move through the entire listening area this afternoon with very gusty, potentially damaging winds. Heavy downpours and strong winds will make for difficult driving conditions in the Baton Rouge area. You want to check current conditions before hitting the road. Budget some extra time. Please, please, please budget extra time. And it is worth noting this is all supposed to happen right in the middle of afternoon carpool for schools. Ding dong, the mandate's dead. Governor John Bel Edwards announced yesterday Louisiana will lift its mask mandate with some exceptions. The governor's executive order, which has required people to wear masks inside at public places or businesses amid the Delta surge of the coronavirus, was set to expire today. It is going to expire today. Edwards said the mandate would be lifted in most places across the state. However, he said the requirement will remain at K-12 schools. However, school districts may opt out if they adopt stricter CDC quarantine guidelines. Now, that's a little bit misleading in its description. It's not necessarily stricter guidelines. It's going back to the previous CDC guidelines, which we will break down fully in our next segment as we have audio from Governor John Bel Edwards' press conference coming up next. At your top stories, here's a look at what's trending this morning. Julia Hurricane Hawkins. The capital area's iconic 105-year-old runner is set to make history on the track once again. Hawkins is scheduled to participate in the 100-meter race at the Louisiana Senior Games in Hammond. The event will make Hawkins the first U.S. athlete to set a Masters track world record in the 105-plus age division. The Louisiana Senior Games 2021 track and field event will be held at the Southeastern Louisiana University Track Complex beginning at 8 a.m. November 6th. The venue is less than 10 miles from Julia's childhood home in Ponchatoula. Back in 2019, Julia set a new Senior Games record in the 50-meter dash for her division. The next day, she finished the 100-meter dash in a little more than 46 seconds. In 2017, Hawkins set a record by finishing the race in 40.12 seconds. That's your top stories and trending. Taking a quick break when we come back. Mask mandate's gone. What did the governor have to say? We've got audio next. Troy, I've been looking to do that for quite some time. I actually really want to do that. I just don't know when. The problem with doing that is, like, regular headlines would have to take a back seat to it, and I don't know when I can put off the news cycle to get that done. Yeah. It's going to start with 3. After that, 3 and then 4, and then after that just be on the 3, 4, 5, and 6. But 1 and 2 are going to be mixed in here somewhere. I just don't know where yet. I've okay. 717 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. So the governor made the announcement yesterday. As of today, the mask mandate is gone for now. For now. That's an important point of this whole thing. It's gone for now. Let's start with the very basics. Here is Governor John Bel Edwards making the announcement about the expiration of the mandate.
Today, because we have basically returned to pre-Delta or pre-fourth surge baseline numbers, and Dr. Candace is going to show you all the graphs in just a moment, I am announcing that the proclamation that I've signed a while ago, earlier today, for the next 28 days will lift the statewide mask mandate. And I want to be very clear about what I'm about to say. It will remain in place for K through 12 schools, except that school districts and non-public schools can opt out of the mask mandate, but only by following CDC guidance as outlined by the Department of Health with respect to quarantine and isolation.
Okay, we're going to have to leave the rails right now because I wanted to go into the hospitalizations being down and everything else the governor had to say, but it's remaining in place at schools who aren't following CDC guidelines when it comes to quarantining and whatnot. Now, immediately, most of the local media picked up on this and said this was a shot at Cade Brumley, Education Superintendent Dr. Cade Brumley, who a couple weeks ago came out with a different plan when it came to quarantining, that individual school districts could opt out of sending kids home who were in contact with COVID-positive kids. The local writers from the Advocate or AP or Gannett or wherever else all tweeted along those lines that this was in direct opposition with what Cade Brumley had to say a couple weeks ago. Now, that's because last week on Ask the Governor, this would be cut two, Jake. Last week on Ask the Governor, Governor John Bel Edwards said that he did not agree with what Dr. Brumley did when it came to those changes in quarantining.
Education Superintendent Cade Brumley, he weighed in on vaccinations, and his approach is somewhat different than yours and got some pushback on this. Are you in discussions with him about his approach?
Well, yeah, but that wasn't about vaccination. That was about policies related to quarantining. When, under what circumstances would students have to quarantine? And he chose to announce a policy that would allow school districts to opt out of the CDC guidelines. I do think that was a mistake. I think that when you're in a public health emergency, that absent a compelling reason to deviate from it, you need to follow the guidelines of the CDC and other public health experts. And quite frankly, if you want less disruption in school and more students present every day in person for instruction, then you got to minimize the amount of COVID that gets transmitted there. And you do that by following the guidelines. So I think he made a mistake. I don't think it was well thought out. I don't think it had been communicated in advance. And quite frankly, I don't have a clue what information he relied upon in making his decision there.
But was it, though? Look, we're more than a year and a half into this thing, and we're so into the weeds now that nothing from Tuesday makes sense on Wednesday, and nothing from Wednesday makes sense on Thursday. This has been a constantly moving target from the start. And the decision Dr. Brumley made a couple weeks ago, let me read it from the Associated Press, okay? Louisiana's Education Department announced Wednesday, this was a few Wednesdays ago, it's no longer recommending that public school systems quarantine asymptomatic students who have come into close contact with someone who tests positive for COVID-19. Now, the question there becomes, how do you define close contact? Because within that same Ask the Governor show last week, Governor John Bel Edwards cited the CDC as saying two students who are seated side by side but both wearing masks, that's no longer considered close contact. But under the old rules, if you're wearing a mask and the kid next to you is wearing a mask and the kid next to you has COVID, you have to quarantine for 10 to 14 days. And if you're Cade Brumley, you're looking to keep kids in school. So if the CDC says that's no longer close contact and you are asymptomatic, then what the hell are you doing going home for 2 weeks? More on that later. I want to make sure we cover all this ground. But that's a rabbit hole that's going to have to be explored. And I've got Dr. Cade Brumley on, I want to say this coming Tuesday. So we got to wait a little while before we have him. But this coming Tuesday, one of the questions I want to ask him is going to be, now that the masks are gone, do your quarantining recommendations change? Because everything that Dr. Brumley had to say in late September was based off of what we were looking at late September. And that was one student wearing a mask and the student seated 3 feet away also wearing a mask, and the CDC saying that no longer counts as close contact. So we'll ask Dr. Brumley a week from yesterday as to how this is going to break down. Is he going to back off of that quarantining? Because his goal from the start has been keep kids in class, keep kids in school. And sending asymptomatic kids home who are no longer deemed in close contact, sending them home for 2 weeks means they are not in school. Now, conversely, Governor John Bell Edwards does not want to see a rash of a breakout within a class where it spreads quickly. Now, I would ask, how many of those have we seen in this school year? Due in no small part to the mask mandate. So I guess my point of all this is, let's stop flinging things at everybody and just realize that everyone's working towards the same goal when it comes to the schools. And that's keeping kids in the classroom. You're just coming at it from two different angles. Unwarranted quarantine versus mass outbreak. Back to the governor and the overall scope of lifting the mask mandate. The governor referenced hospitalizations and the other numbers that come along with this that go into the gating criteria that led to his decision. Cut 4, please.
Hospitalizations continue to drop today. We are reporting 323. That's the lowest it's been since July 2nd. And just as a reference, we got to 3,022 at the highest in the Delta surge. So that's getting close to just 10% of what we had at the peak of hospitalizations in the most recent surge. And that was just 10 weeks ago. We also have 47 patients on mechanical ventilators. That's down 2 from yesterday. And today we're reporting 460 new cases of COVID-19. And sadly, we continue to report deaths every day. I don't believe we've had an occasion yet to report 0, but we're reporting 16 today. And that is 14,496 deaths from COVID-19 from the beginning. So we have made tremendous progress.
Yeah, we have. And he noted that progress, and he lifted the mask mandate as a result of that progress. And this was a point that has been made repeatedly. When we hit our next surge, the mask mandate's probably going to have to come back. Maybe not the next variant, but the next surge. We're going to see a mask mandate again in the future. So peel off now so it retains its level of importance then. This was about flattening the curve, not eliminating it. Flattened again. Louisiana has, for a 4th time, pushed things back. The governor felt the need to stand by implementing the mask mandate in the first place. It's cut 5, please.
I have no doubt that re-implementing the mask mandate when we did in August was key to this. And in fact, you can literally look at the graphs and the reports. And 14 days, exactly 2 weeks after we reinstated the mask mandate, you saw cases and hospitalizations peak. And then we actually opened up a little bit of breathing room before Hurricane Ida hit by freeing up about 500 or so hospital beds, which were critically important as we dealt with the aftermath of that hurricane.
So you saw the peak on August 17th of 3,022 in the hospital. The daily numbers were ridiculous as far as new cases concerned. Percentages got all the way up to around 16% statewide, which means 84% were still negative. But they got all the way up to 16% statewide, now under 3% positivity at this point. So from then until now, you've had more than 1 month. Why not peel off of the mandate why not peel off the mandate a month ago? Cut 6, please.
A month ago, when we kept the mask mandate in place, our numbers were trending in the right direction, but our baseline numbers remained very high in terms of percent positivity, daily cases, the number of people who were actually in the hospitals and so forth. those numbers have all continued to improve, and the baseline numbers now mirror those that we had before the fourth surge ever started.
So we're good. We're good in most walks of life. Now, one of the things the governor has done that I don't think gets enough attention is defer to local governments, local entities as well. Which, I prefer my government on a local level. I do not like kicking up on a national level for sure. I believe that the state can run the state better than the nation can, and I believe that my city can run my city better than the state can. The problems of Baton Rouge are going to be different than the problems of Bogalusa. The problems of Louisiana are going to be different than the problems of New Hampshire. Knocking things down to a local level, I guess it's kind of a conservative ideal, but it is what it is. So the governor, within his statement yesterday, made the announcement that if you are on a local level, whether that be a municipality, an institute of higher learning, or an individual school district, or a private business, and you wish to keep your mask mandate in place, you are more than welcome to go above and beyond what the current statewide restrictions are to have your own.
It remains the case, as when I previously lifted the mask mandate, that local governments are free to be more restrictive, but not less than what's in the proclamation that I've signed. So local governments can, if they see fit, keep the mask mandate in place and put other mitigation measures in place. Private businesses may choose to require masks, especially those that are part of a national chain where they have one policy for the country and they don't differentiate between states. And everyone should know that per CMS orders out of the federal government, masks will still be required in healthcare settings, and masks will still be required with respect to mass transit. So if you're on a bus, if you're on an airplane, if you're in an airport, those are federal rules. Those things will remain in place.
Hopefully we have time to get to him talking about schools. Cut 9, please.
With respect to K through 12 schools, I got questions, how could people go into Tiger Stadium without a mask? Well, for one thing, it was outdoors. Or grocery, now they can be able to go in the grocery store without wearing one and still have to wear one in schools unless they choose to opt out. And there's some differences there. And the reason that I'm encouraging school districts to continue to have the mask mandate in place, especially if they're in parishes with high transmission, is because you can choose whether or not you take your child to the grocery store or to Tiger Stadium, but they have to be in school. And we know that many of our children can't yet be vaccinated, although we've got our fingers crossed that within the next couple of weeks, vaccines will be available for children 5 and older. And if that happens, then virtually the entire K through 12 population will be eligible.
Got to leave a lot unanswered right there. There's so much to unpack, but we're just straight up out of time. Got a hard break for news. Congressman Garret Graves is coming up next on Talk 107.3 FM. Oh, I have all of my Graves press releases on my desk. I have to run downstairs. I'll be right back.
I'm Jeff Palermo, the Talk 107.3 Baton Rouge Newsroom. With the state seeing lower rates of COVID-19 infections and fewer hospitalizations, Governor John Bel Edwards has lifted the statewide indoor mask mandate. But schools that do not follow CDC quarantine guidance are still required to wear masks. State Health Officer Dr. Joe Cantor on the CDC guidance.
If you were within 6 feet of someone for a cumulative 15 minutes or more, you should quarantine unless you are fully vaccinated. If you're fully vaccinated and you have no symptoms, you don't have to quarantine.
Several school systems have decided not to require masks, but there are some keeping the mask policy in place. Senator Bill Cassidy says over 1,900 Louisianans lost their lives to drug overdoses last year, and the opioid crisis must be met head on. Cassidy says the federal government needs to work with local leaders to implement opioid policies already approved by Congress.
These provide resources to stop illegal drugs at the border, support the discovery of non-addictive painkillers, and deliver treatment to those who are already addicted.
Southwest Louisiana now has an exact dollar figure on how much money in hurricane recovery aid it will receive for last year's storms. Dave Brannon reports more steps need to take place before it's available to repair homes and businesses.
Governor Edwards announced Tuesday that the state will receive $595 million to assist in recovery efforts from Hurricanes Laura and Delta, but the funds will be a while getting into the state's bank account.
So we're waiting for the Federal Register notice to come out. Don't have any idea when that is going to happen.
But when it does, it falls far short of the $3 billion the governor had requested and requires several federal and state agencies' approval before the money is put to use.
We will do everything we can with the money we're given to make sure that there is a complete and robust recovery, but it will be very challenging to do that.
I'm Dave Brannon.
And I'm Jeff Palermo, Talk 107.3 Baton Rouge.
Oh. Yeah, I need to do complete collision still, but thank you. Hey, be ready with more cuts if he doesn't show. No, you told me complete collision and then Baton Rouge mattress. Oh. Okay. 737 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Look to connect with Congressman Garret Graves here in just a second. In the meanwhile, got to tell you about the folks over at Complete Collision Center. You know where to find them. They've got two locations. One on Plank Road in Zachary, 19511 Plank Road to be specific, or 9848 Perkins Road in Baton Rouge. It's actually, so if you're on Perkins just east of Bluebonnet, there's this little side street right there. You'll see a little strip shopping center in the front. Complete Collision Center is on the back end of that strip shopping center, just east of that, what is it, a Shell station right there, I believe? 9848 Perkins Road. I'll tell you what, let's make this easy. 768-9898. 768-9898. That's the phone number to call. That's what's going to get you to Complete Collision Center. And why do you want to choose Complete Collision? Continuing education, knowledge, training, certifications. They know what they're doing when it comes to getting your car back out on the road safely. They're working for you. They're not working for the insurance company, and they're getting you back onto the road safely. They're certified by more than a dozen manufacturers. The people who make the cars say Complete Collision Center is the place to go to fix your car. Why is that important? Because it's so much more than just, oh, that'll buff right out. It's so much more than fixing the aesthetic. It's so much more than fixing what's on the outside. It's repairing the hidden damage, potential damage to the chassis, crumple zones, redundancies that are built into the car to keep your family safe. They need to be repaired as well. Complete Collision Center knows how to get to the bottom of that and fix it the right way. Two locations, Plank Road in Zachary, Perkins Road, just east of Bluebonnet and Baton Rouge, 768-9898, 768-9898, or CompleteCollision.com. Don't let who you choose to repair your vehicle be your second accident. Check out CompleteCollision.com. We are joined right now by Congressman Garret Graves, as we do every single Wednesday. Congressman Graves, welcome aboard. How are you, sir?
Hey, doing all right. Just finished a little hit with C-SPAN and headed over to another meeting, but doing well this morning. How about you?
I'm doing very well. What was the topic du jour on C-SPAN?
C-SPAN talking about this new international climate conference coming up and talking about some of the Biden administration and John Kerry's efforts to really turn in a direction of renewable energy as opposed to some of the conventional energy that we produce in Louisiana and across the United States.
Governor John Bel Edwards set to attend that conference along with a number of others. Do you mind going into that for just a minute? Because Louisiana's in a unique spot. Yes, we produce a lot of our traditional energy, but we're also poised to produce a lot of alternative energy as well. Where are we at with what we can get done?
Well, Brian, what's important is that you be realistic and look around the globe in terms of recognizing the resources we have in the United States, the resources we have in Louisiana. And the reality is that the oil and gas we have in Louisiana has about 30 times the energy density or the energy power packed in it as compared to some of these renewable alternatives. And what we've been able to demonstrate through innovation is that you can actually reduce or eliminate the emissions from using natural gas and other sources. So for us to just flip the switch and effectively turn the keys over to China and say, yeah, we're going to begin importing solar panels from you or windmill technology or the batteries from countries like China, as opposed to producing our own energy right in Louisiana, it's a flawed strategy. It's going to have huge economic implications for us. And just like we saw China's handling of the coronavirus, they will use that as leverage, as they did with the mask and gloves and others, against the United States, and just simply not in our interest.
Congressman Garret Graves is our guest. Talking about that. Well, we're going to get to a couple of other topics in just a minute, but I got to stick with this one for one more, because when you see a climate conference like this, it feels like all the onus is put on the U.S.'s back. I'm always curious, what is China doing to fight climate change? What is Russia doing? What is Saudi Arabia doing to fight climate change? Because I feel like every day since, I don't know, the mid-'70s, we've been told, you're not doing enough, America. You're not doing enough. And yet at the same time, though, we get no report card from anywhere else.
Brian, I'll give you one stat just to prove how flawed this is. For every ton of emissions we've reduced in the United States, China's increased by 4. this is a global issue that you can't just come in and say, oh, we're going to fix this in the United States and there's going to be some little bubble over our country. It is a global issue. So as China goes out there and undermines all of the progress we're making, they're undermining it for the globe. And it is unbelievable to see John Kerry out there celebrating, saying, hey, this is great. We got China to sign this thing, whenever their own commitments under the Paris Accords results in greater emissions, greater global emissions, when they're already releasing more than every developed country in the world combined today. So look, my interest in this international conference is protecting Louisiana, protecting the United States, and not allowing folks like John Kerry to just give away the farm and kneecap the U.S. economy to the detriment of states like ours.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the day when the world looks to America and says, what are y'all doing to fight climate change? And America's response is, we're sending teams to your country to help you catch up.
I love it.
It's so, all right, we got so much ground to cover this morning. We'll get to the infrastructure bill in just a second, but I got to ask you about a press release that came out of your office late last week. All the greatest press releases out of your office are on Thursday, and we talk on Wednesday. I got to figure that one out. Graves and colleagues label supply chain crisis as another poor decision that was avoidable. The supply chain crisis does not seem to be getting better right now. What can we do to make it better?
Look, and this is something that like we've talked about in other topics like Afghanistan and others, these are unforced errors. The reality is that the demand that you're seeing now, the labor problems you're seeing now, the infrastructure problems you're seeing now, a lot of these things are things that could have been addressed, should have been addressed before. You have seen this administration step in and further empower some of the very labor forces that are contributing to the problem we're seeing in California and others. You've got the opportunity to reroute ships to ports like, I don't know, in Louisiana, to offload these, to make investments in infrastructure, like an additional cranes to where we can offload the containers, deepening some of these navigation canals. So there are a number of things that could be done from a logistics perspective to help solve these problems. And it is so frustrating to watch effectively zero action, despite the fact that we're in the middle of this, that we're approaching a Christmas season where we're going to continue to struggle to have supplies. You can imagine that kid that's not going to get some of their Christmas gifts because of the supply chain issues. So really problematic. And again, there are efforts that we could be taking in the United States to help to temper this blow.
Are the bottlenecks in the actual infrastructure of this, or is the problem deeper? No pun intended.
Look, it goes well beyond just the infrastructure. It does, and I don't want to suggest there's any one silver bullet solution. A big part of it is some of the labor problems that they've got in California and elsewhere. I mean, look, Brian, you and I have talked about this in the past. We paid people more to stay home than they were making in their jobs when they were working. We have incentivized people to not work. You see one of the greatest gaps today in work-capable people and jobs available than we have ever had in American history, meaning you have more people that are work-capable that are sitting on the sidelines right now rather than being in the workforce, and you've got incredible job opportunities or job openings right now. This doesn't make sense to have this administration paying people more to stay home than paying them to work. And what they're trying to do right now is trying to expand through this reconciliation bill the social welfare programs to make it easier to stay home. That is not how America has become the world leader, the greatest country on earth, is by paying people to not work, by expanding social welfare. We've done it by incentivizing people to work hard and allowing them to achieve their definition of the American dream, and really frustrating to see folks trying to double and triple down on strategies that have proven to fail.
Yeah, and there's never going to be a day where we could say, like, I'm not on board with something that encourages people to get back to work, even if there is a cost to the taxpayer, because it's pushing towards a better goal overall. It's when you couple everything else in with it, and then, oh, look, they voted no for, like, child care to go back to work. No, you voted no for everything else. It just got lumped in. Hey, I don't know if we're gonna have time for both. I got to start with this IRS thing first, though. We've talked about infrastructure every week, so let's talk about the IRS. taking a look at bank accounts. I spoke with Senator Cassidy about this recently. I got to get your take on it. The IRS wants to look at transactions exceeding $600, and there's a back end to this where if you've got a certain total over the course of a year, you're now in the game to be looked at as well.
Brian, look, first and most importantly, tax cheats need to be held accountable. People need to pay whatever is due on their taxes, and people shouldn't be allowed to avoid that. But what this administration is doing is they're effectively trying to call everyone suspicious or guilty. They've revised their proposal and basically saying anyone that has transactions or brings in or is paid fixed income, a high school student with a job making $182 a week or more, their accounts will effectively be inspected or snooped on by the IRS. That is absolutely ridiculous. There is a warrant process. The Fourth and Fifth Amendments to the Constitution give us protections to unlawful search and seizure, to due process, and I think that this effectively is trying to put a warrant on anybody from a high school student with a job to a retiree on fixed income. I think it is unbelievable and an incredible infringement on our constitutional rights and privacy. Let me say it again. People need to be held accountable. They need to pay their fair share of taxes, but effectively snooping on every American and deeming every American as suspicious or guilty is unacceptable.
When it's labeled as transactions, so depositing a paycheck and paying your mortgage, those two things are transactions, are they not?
Absolutely. And so those folks would be caught. Like I said, I mean, there are high schoolers who just have side jobs and retirees on fixed income that would all be captured by this, as little as $182 a week.
I mean, yeah, that pretty much includes everybody. Got 30 seconds left. Where's the infrastructure bill?
Infrastructure bill is still being held hostage by this reconciliation package where they're trying to spend trillions of dollars expanding social welfare and forcing us on foreign energy sources. So the bill is being held up because they're trying to leverage the support for the infrastructure bill into support for the reconciliation bill. They're trying to make them one package as opposed to being voted on separately. If infrastructure was voted on separately, it would pass with a broad margin. But unfortunately, politicizing it and linking it with social welfare expansion has caused problems. They continue to negotiate, and they've said repeatedly that they'll have a bill in a few days, but we haven't seen anything yet.
He is Congressman Garret Graves, joins us for D.C. Current every week. I greatly appreciate it, sir. Talk to you next week.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.
All right. We're about 10 seconds late for your money now. I'm never going to get more than one live in when I've got the congressman on. The 7:15 segment, the 15 segment, I'm more likely to get something in. 7:15 and 8:15, I can get something in on the front end and the back end. But that one's always going to be, I never have extra time. Right. Well, it's not a 14-minute segment, it's only 12, which narrows the conversation by 2 minutes. Okay. Well, I will be getting to one of them here. I'm going to do Mathern's on the back end of this because the last couple of days I've struggled to hit the top of the hour, so I want to make sure I have room. .755 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. CBS News coming your way about 4 minutes from right now, 4.5 minutes from right now. That is enough time. Oh, by the way, thanks again to Congressman Garret for hopping on board. I swear that segment's never long enough. We could just keep on going because there's about 10 things we haven't yet to cover. But that's why we do it every week, so we'll pick up again in a week. Meanwhile, time for us to get outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. Baton Rouge Physical Therapy brings you the Outside In. We start in Lafayette, where a federal grand jury convicted an Alabama man on Tuesday of creating child pornography by coercing a girl under the age of 12 to send him sexually explicit images of herself. 45-year-old William Malone of Mobile was convicted in Lafayette on 5 counts of producing child pornography and 2 related charges, federal prosecutors said in a news release. The federal public defenders who represented Malone did not immediately respond to a request for comment. A sentencing date has not been set. However, the maximum total sentence would be life in prison plus 160 years and a $250,000 fine. Over to Livingston Parish, where a new disaster recovery center opened in Springfield, the first and only one in the parish. The new center, located off Highway 42, is stationed at the American Vets Post 68. Those affected by Ida can meet with FEMA and U.S. Small Business Administration. The agency will be at the location temporarily, depending on how much assistance is needed. Workers will help with disaster assistance applications, upload documents, and answer questions about federal disaster aid. Next stop, Jefferson Davis Parish. A man with a long history of arrests was booked into jail once again after it was discovered he'd been living in the attic of an apartment without the tenant realizing it. The Jefferson Davis Parish Sheriff's Office said 33-year-old Gregory Bonnet was arrested again Monday after a woman living in the apartment saw him climb down from the attic while he thought no one was home. Now, he fled once he realized someone was there. Deputies later arrested Bonnet on 2 counts of unauthorized injury of an inhabited dwelling. The department said Bonnet had previously been arrested 20 times. Closing out in Ascension Parish, where the premiere of My Ascension, the My Ascension documentary, which focuses on the suicide attempt of a Dutchtown high school student, has sold out. According to a release from the Ascension Parish government, the documentary will be screened at the Malco Cinema in Gonzales this evening, 6:30 p.m. Press conference is scheduled prior to the showing. Now, My Ascension chronicles the story of a 16-year-old Dutchtown High School varsity cheerleader who was paralyzed by a suicide attempt, which propelled her on a mission to use her painful experience to help others find hope and stay alive. The film also shares the story of two remarkable young people who tragically did not survive their suicide attempts, learning firsthand from their family, friends, and school officials and suicide prevention experts about the devastating effects of suicide and what can be done to prevent it. That's a look at the outside in, presented by BRPT Lake. Gonna get you to news here in just a minute. Enough time for me to tell you about the folks over at Mathern's. They've got two locations. One downtown on 3rd Street, the other on campus. Nicholson at Skip Burtman Drive and the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center. Putting together a Halloween party? Need a Halloween party tray? How about calling 367-6074? 367-6074. We'll get you to that Nicholson location right across the street from Tiger Stadium. And it's not just about the party trays. They are a full-service grocery store. In fact, one of the best-kept secrets over by campus, and if you've got students or if you've got kids who are students at LSU, you might want to share this with them. They've got the prepared meals ready to go right there in their deli. Shrimp pasta, crawfish pasta, chicken Alfredo, you name it. You buy it already made. You take it home. You just heat it back up for a couple minutes, and you're good to go with a prepared dinner, not just for the college student, but for the entire family. At Mathern's on Nicholson at Skip Burtman Drive. BR mattress, and I'm good. Okay. Excuse me. Very smoky. Yeah. I haven't had the bourbon honey.
Bourbon honey's pretty good.
Did you ever eat Congressman Graves' honey?
Yeah.
Bro.
I put that in my tea every morning.
So good. Yeah, it's like it's kind of like honey and kind of like I want a brisket. I'm not.
It's very particular.
Yeah. Ooh, Dan Crenshaw is going to be on Kill Me today. I'll be tuned in for that. Jake. .806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Got a busy hour this hour. Going to be talking with Dave Baxter from Real Men Wear Pink, and going to be talking with author Brendan Borrell. He's got a book out called The First Shots. No, it's not about Jägermeister or Goldschlager. God, remember Goldschlager? There's actual gold in it. Yeah, that's not good for your digestive system. No, this is about the COVID-19 vaccine and getting that bad boy started also many months ago. And a number of stories within. But that's not till 8:40. Coming up 60 seconds from right now, Jake will have this day in history. But before we get to that, I ask you every day, I should say, how'd you sleep last night? If you're not getting a good night's sleep, you're not getting the most out of your day. You're not as productive as you could be. And a lot of that starts with your mattress. A lot of that starts with having a mattress that's too old. You've rotated it too many times. It's just too lumpy. It's out of shape at this point. It needs to be replaced. You know, on average, Americans keep their mattress 3 years longer than they're supposed to. Mitch Kimball and his team at the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet can help you out with great deals and great financing. In fact, the deals are so good, a lot of times you don't need the financing. They've got 2 locations, 4065 Florida Boulevard or the corner of Jefferson and Husha 2. Need to give them a call to find directions? 930-5779. 930-5779. But they're on Florida and Mid-City and the corner of Jefferson and Husha 2 in the southeastern corner of the parish. And if you mention you heard about it here, you get free delivery. Now, love the mattresses. You go over there, you try them out until you find the one that's just right for you. I went hybrid in my house. My wife and I just absolutely adore it. But that might not be what's right for you. You might like the pillow top. You might like the straight-up cooling gel, whatever the case might be. But here's the thing, though. While you're shopping for your mattress, why not think outside the box for an upcoming Christmas present? Pillows and sheets make fantastic holiday gifts. Make great Christmas presents. And Mitch can hook you up there as well. At 4065 Florida Boulevard in Mid-City or the corner of Jefferson and Husha 2 for the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. Yes, mention you heard about it here, you get free delivery. All right, time to go back in time. Every day, Jake brings us this day in history. Let's go.
We're going to start things off in 1904. The first section of the New York subway, Lower Manhattan to Broadway, Harlem, opened to Interborough Rapid Transit. The fare, 1 nickel.
A nickel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
1919, Axeman of New Orleans claims last victim.
The Axeman of New Orleans?
You haven't heard? It's an old... Well, I guess that's not a legend. It actually happened, but it does sound like an urban legend.
It does. The Axeman of New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Who was he?
I don't know.
Oh, come on. You're giving me garbage about have I not heard, and then you can't tell me his name?
We don't need to focus on me right now.
Okay.
That's fine. We'll move right along to 1920. League of Nations moves headquarters in Geneva. 1922, the first commemoration of Navy Day. Spoiler alert in holidays, it is Navy Day.
Yeah, saw that one.
1954, Walt Disney's first TV show, Disneyland, premieres on ABC.
That's cool.
Start of something pretty big, if you ask me. 1973, Alabama sets offensive record, 828 yards. Beats Virginia Tech 77-6.
Okay, was that legit, or were they counting yards that nobody else counted like they do for championships?
Ooh, I don't know about that. 1985.
Bro, I am going to have to read up on this all weekend.
Anything interesting you could say right now?
No, not yet. It's just this. I love New Orleans history, and this is definitely something that I need to dig in on. Good.
That makes you and me both. 1985. You might like this one. Billy Martin is fired by Yankees for the 4th time.
Yeah, replaced by Lou Piniella.
Upgrade or downgrade?
Rebound.
Gotcha.
I mean, there was the breakups between Billy Martin and the Yankees were frequent. Lou Piniella was just in the crosshairs a lot.
Gotcha.
Went from a batting coach to a manager. It's not bad,
but it's a step.
Yeah. The next year, though, 1986, and I know you're going to miss this one. So,
okay.
We talked about Game 6 the other day.
Yes.
Mookie Wilson threw Buckner's legs. Well, today was Game 7.
How did that go?
The Mets took home the World Series.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah.
1997. Microsoft argues it should be, quote, free from government interference.
Yeah. That worked out.
Yeah. Same day, same year, U.S. releases a redesigned $50 bill.
You don't see 50s very often.
No, you don't.
I'd like to see 50s more often.
What, the
50s are about as rare as 2s at this point.
You still have a spare $2 bill?
I have like a dozen of them. I was collecting them for a while, and then I realized, what am I doing this?
Yeah. One day you think...
You want to screw with somebody, try and spend a 2.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm taking a shot at your generation right here, but
No,
you put a 2 in front of a Gen Zer, and they could be like, what is this?
Okay, I'm
this is fake.
Don't call me Gen Z, man. Come on.
Are you too young to be Gen Z?
Too old.
You're too old to be Gen Z?
I don't know the specific years, but I am not part of that whole generation.
You're not millennial.
I'm millennial, but like Gen Z, that's like 2004.
Hang on. Yeah, 2004, 17.
I'm not 17, bro.
Yeah, well, you're like within the...
A totally different stage of life.
Okay, what year were you born?
98.
Gen Z, born 1997 and onward.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Don't associate me with these people.
It's all right.
It's fine. Whatever. I do have a spare $2 bill of my own.
Good.
They're awesome.
Keep it. It's street cred.
One day, hey, it might be worth $3.
No. Although, fair warning, if you get a $3 bill, run.
2020, a record 69.5 million Americans have already voted a week before Election Day. 50.4% of 2016's total vote. How about Americans getting out and voting? That's what's up.
Won't be the case on November 13th, where barely 8% of folks will show up to vote on those sexy constitutional amendments.
Yeah, go vote, people. Do your civil duty. Let's get right to the birthdays. First up, Theodore Roosevelt was born on this day in 1850.
Oh, Teddy!
Mm-hmm. I think it was him that said, "Speak softly and carry a big stick."
Yeah.
It's a good saying. Next up, we have, well, kind of the opposite of that for a while. He's actually having a kind of a career resurgence. Lonzo Ball turns 24.
Yeah, he does.
Killing it with the Bulls right now. Comedy legend John Cleese, 82 years old. What a legend.
Yeah.
Lou Williams, Lemon Pepper Lou Will, 35 years old.
Nice. Hawks guard.
Mm-hmm. Former Sixth Man of the Year, multi-time, that is.
Yeah.
John Gotti, born on this day in 1940. Those
Oh,
who don't
how
know-
did I miss that one?
Yeah, he led the Gambino mob family.
The Teflon Don.
Mm-hmm. And for those who are interested, it didn't happen on this day, but he did die in 2002.
Gotti? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No deaths to report. Do you got any birthdays for me? He does not. Let's get right to the
Marla
holidays.
Maples.
Well, let's go with that one then. We have about 4 holidays of note to mention. Let's get right to the first one. National American Beer Day. I know for a fact everyone listening here has some reaction to that. We love us some alcohol. It's Louisiana. It's National American Beer Day.
Okay.
Let's get festive. You know?
I mean, yeah.
National Mentoring Day.
I'm kind of off beer.
How so?
I've moved on. Like, I really, really like whiskey and vodka.
You like the hard liquor now?
Yeah, the beer just like leaves me bloated.
Yeah.
And it all tastes the same to me now. I don't know if it's my palate or what. Maybe I can blame COVID somehow, but it's just everything tastes the same. It's either too hoppy or whatever. I need to find my way back around to liking beer again.
Fair enough. I gotta say, I'm more of a hard liquor person myself. I'd rather make a mixed drink or just sip on straight whiskey than have beer. Other thing, we got National Mentoring Day. Means, acknowledge your mentors. Say you care. Next up, we have Cranky Coworkers Day. Hopefully no one's feeling festive about that at least, but who knows. And then finally, I mentioned it earlier in this segment, it is Navy Day.
Happy Navy Day.
And that is going to conclude this day in history.
We are running long already. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Real Men Wear Pink. Dave Baxter joins us next. Hey, Dave. What's your title with Real Men Wear Pink? And you're with Real Men Wear Pink now with you're with who? Oh. Okay. All right, good deal. Hang tight. 819 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So, earlier in the show, we talked with attorney Franz Borghardt for our Legally Served segment. Now, if you've been paying attention at all, Franz has been quite active trying to raise money for the American Cancer Society through the Real Men Wear Pink campaign. In spite of his best efforts, he is trailing Jody Hammett. But those are just two on the leaderboard. I want to get a full rundown, and I want to find out how we can all help and where the money from Real Men Wear Pink goes, which is why we're bringing on Dave Baxter right now to talk about it. Dave, what's happening, man?
Well, morning, Brian. It's a great morning so far. It looks like it's going to be a little bit hairy this afternoon, but so far so good.
I tell you what, I could put up with a lot this afternoon to wake up tomorrow morning to nice cooler temperatures.
Oh, man, am I looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to going out for a nice run early in the morning while the weather's cool and just enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So today is the 27th, meaning the countdown is on. Real Men Wear Pink, the clock is ticking. What are we looking at as far as remaining time is concerned?
Yeah, we've got 4 days left. Halloween Day is actually the last day of our official event, and we are now sitting at $92,000 and change. So we've got a little bit of a ways to go to hit a $125,000 target, but we've got some really good things coming up this weekend that some of our candidates are doing to raise the money. So I'm feeling pretty good about us, knocking it out like we've been doing the last several years.
It's an interesting spot to be in for something like Real Men Wear Pink because it's not like a one-night event. This is an ongoing thing. So do you make the asks early or do you wait and ramp up and kind of close it out strong? And how do you straddle that? I mean, what's still to come this weekend?
Well, it's interesting because there were, we made the announcement of the Real Men, unofficially earlier in the year. And normally we don't really start doing the fundraising until October 1st because, that's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Mm-hmm. But people like, what's his name, Franz? I don't remember his name all the time.
It's Franz.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know him very well.
No. He's a shy guy. Doesn't put his name out there very much.
We need to get him out in public a little more often.
Once in a while.
Folks like him and a couple other guys just took the ball and ran with it very early on in the year, so they got a great head start coming into the opening of the campaign, which is October 1. So, people have done a number of different items. They've done restaurant nights where, certain proceeds from the restaurant go towards the campaign. We've got a couple of, fundraisers with, jambalaya sales. They're done, I think there's a Kendra Scott fundraiser tonight at Perkins Row, so some proceeds from any purchases go towards that. There's been golf tournaments that have gone on. So just a lot of different things that people are doing to get things wrapped up for the end of this year.
What is Jody Hammett doing that has him at the top of the leaderboard?
I don't know, but the best part about it was the day he pulled ahead of Franz on the leaderboard, and boy, I made sure to let Franz know that he was no longer in first place after securing that spot early on in the year by getting ahead of the game. But I'm not quite sure what Jody's been doing, but whatever it is, he's already raised $18,405 this year, which is a really phenomenal amount. Considering that the ask is really only to raise $2,500 per candidate.
Yeah.
And he has certainly gone well above the norm for this campaign.
So, yeah, I think Franz probably should have sandbagged a little bit, maybe did a little bit of early reporting to kind of brag, and it's going to come back and bite him a little bit as well. So, but it is all for a good cause, and I appreciate the hustle by everybody involved. Speaking of everybody involved, look, Franz and Jody are at the top of the leaderboard. Who else is in this thing?
Well, we've got Kyle Fenton from Republic Finance, who's sitting in fourth place right now. We have a team of guys, Kyle Peterson and Richard Spears from Keller Williams, that have done a great job. They've raised $7,500. We've got a couple of physicians, Everett Bonner and Elliot Hardy, that are in the program. Mm-hmm. We've got attorneys. We've got Dave Remeter, that owns Mid-City Beer Garden, and the former owner of Chelsea's, which I think is opening back up. So we've got a lot of really good folks, and there's some people that are at the bottom of the leaderboard right now that have just struggled to raise some money. So if you go look up Real Men Wear Pink of Baton Rouge and you want to make a donation, scroll towards the bottom to those guys kind of in the bottom 20 and help one of those guys out hit their goals. Chad Cassidy from Our Lady of the Lake, or Jason Dupree from Cypress Title, or Haggai Davis from General Informatics. Those guys could use some help hitting their number.
Oh, no. Where's Haggai at right now?
Haggai's at $707, so we need to get that Slacker Tech Gumbo Slacker up and running and get him to his $2,500 goal.
We absolutely do. Haggai joins me every Friday on the show, and then, of course, hosts Tech Gumbo on the weekends as well. Yeah. All right, everybody, I know we all want to see Franz claim this title. That's all fine and good, but let's get Haggai on the path here. Let's help him out a little bit by donating. Now, at the end of the day, you said $125K is what we're looking to raise?
Correct.
Okay. Where does that money go?
So, the local chapter of the American Cancer Society here does a phenomenal job of keeping that money local, and it goes towards resources towards people that are fighting cancer. So whether they need rides to appointments, whether they need to have a wig made for them, whatever type of services or goods that they might need while they're going through their cancer treatment, that's where that money goes. And it's one of the reasons why this campaign, is so successful, is because the people know that when they're donating this money, it's not going off to some corporate office somewhere, out of state, being, 50% of it's going towards administrative funds, and 20% actually makes it to the people that need the funds. Mm-hmm. The money's staying right here, local in our community, and so it's a really good way to give back. And it's whether it's your friends, your family members, it could be your mom, your sister, and men get breast cancer too, so it could be your brother, your dad, one of your best friends. So the nice part is that money stays local, going towards services that directly impact the people that are going through cancer treatments right now.
One of the things about breast cancer specifically that I've taken note of, and I haven't done Real Men Wear Pink, but I've worked with Susan G. Komen in the past, is the results are tangible as well. Whether it be talking about the moral support for co-survivors or the actual application of what can get done with those dollars, you're able to see results from your dollars. They don't just get – look, research is a great thing, but it's often hard to quantify dollars that go into research until there's a cure. You don't know how much those dollars have done. When it comes to something like this, you're able to see the results of your efforts.
Right. This money that we raised, $125,000, it's a good chunk of change, but when you're talking about doing cancer research, it's not nearly enough.
Oh, 100%.
To make a difference.
Yeah.
So this money going to the services directly to the patients going through the treatment, that's like you said, that's where you see the actual results of your work. Is it's going to someone that's getting a ride to the office, getting a ride to the treatment, or receiving some sort of gift basket to help them get through the process. So it's just it's a really tangible outcome that you can see and feel right here in the community.
We got Dave Baxter with us talking about Real Men Wear Pink. So the whole thing wraps up on Sunday, and then the wrap-up party is going to be on November 10th. I'll be emceeing that one. What can we expect from the wrap-up party?
Well, I think we're going to give out some awards. Unfortunately, if you're not first, you're last. So Franz will be probably bringing up the rear. Mm-hmm. Jody will be bringing home the Top Gun, unless Franz somehow miraculously pulls out a $10,000 upswing in his campaign this year. But we want to recognize all the guys that put in all the hard work this year. It's been tough with when COVID hit last year. It made it really tough to do in-person events and do fundraising, and the team just did an amazing job using social media. This team this year, it's still been a little bit of a struggle with that, with the mask mandates coming in and out and so forth. So, I'm really proud of what the guys have done this year to help raise the money. So we'll be celebrating the guys, giving out some awards, and then certainly lining up, we need candidates for next year. It's an ongoing campaign. So, we're going to start making nominations for folks to be real men next year.
And it is like you said, an ongoing campaign that it goes so much deeper than like a one-night event, which I love. A lot of the events that we do that happen over the course of the night, but this is something that when you see it play out over the course of the month, there is money to be raised, but there's also awareness to be raised. And for all 27 participants right now, their social media feeds have been a continual reminder of the struggles of breast cancer. They've been a continual reminder of the awareness of where we should be throughout the month of October. They've been a continual reminder of how folks can help, not just through Real Men Wear Pink, but overall in the battle.
Yeah, and one of the other things I really like about this campaign is, one of the things we need to do is you need to wear pink every day of the month as just a reminder and a recognition of the awareness that's out there. So, for example, this is my third year doing the campaign, and I bought a pair of pink Chuck Taylors, early on in my first campaign. Nice. And I've worn those every day during the month of October for the last 3 years. And people always comment on it, so if they see the pink shoes and they're like, oh man, that's really cool that you're doing that. So it's a great way to raise awareness. And then they ask, oh, why are you doing that? I mean, I was in a meeting in a boardroom a couple of years ago, and I did a little fundraiser before I went there where I had a pair of my regular business shoes and I had my pink Chuck Taylors, and I said, if I can raise $800 before or $500 before this meeting, I'll wear these to this corporate board meeting. And I raised $800 in a matter of about 10 minutes, and I wore that into the board meeting. And then, of course, I got there, and some of the people didn't know why I was doing that. So I explained to it, and a couple of people in that meeting donated to my campaign that I didn't know who they were. They didn't know who I was before the meeting. So that raising of awareness just by wearing the pink itself is also a great reminder that there's still more we have to do.
Yeah, there is. And meanwhile, a lot is getting done, and every participant this year should definitely be commended and appreciated for their efforts. In the meanwhile, keep the foot on the gas. Dave Baxter with Real Men Wear Pink. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you very soon. That's it is a cause that all through October we hear about breast cancer awareness. Well, this is very applicable. This is a spot where you can make a difference. And I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and post the link back to the Real Men Wear Pink page on our YouTube chat. I'll post it in the chat on YouTube, so you can link directly back to it from there, from the YouTube. And of course, Jake will have it up when he posts this on demand. The very same link will be there as well. All right, quick break. When we come back, we're not nearly done. We've got more COVID to talk, but more specifically, let's talk about The First Shots. Yes, a new book that's out by Brendan Borrell. The First Shots talk about the COVID vaccine. We're going to dive into that right after we check news, we check traffic, we check weather, and yes, you need to pay attention to weather today. All that's coming your way right now on Talk 107.3. Go to the YouTube page. I just posted the link in the chat. You can just copy and paste it from there. Link?
It just starts with like site / SPA and then ellipses. At least that's on the desktop. I don't know if that's the same. I can check it on my phone.
Oh. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, that was just a brief glitch. I got it now.
All right. What?
When I'm trying to get the audio and put it on the Adobe and like compile it and stuff, the same spot is blacked out. The same thing as yesterday.
Interesting. How big of a spot is it?
From 34, like halfway through 34 to the very start of 40. I don't know
Cade about that after the show. Thank you. Oh, I've got a 9:30 interview this morning. Are you still going to be up here? If not, don't sweat it. Yeah. That's the bourbon one. Holy shit.
Do you have any plans on using the JVE cuts?
Yeah. .838 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So we're going to be talking Operation Warp Speed here in just a minute. I know Operation Warp Speed is long since over, but there's a book about it now. About to become an HBO limited series called The First Shots. This is about Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, and the like, all racing to be first to get the vaccine out there. And what did that mean in its time and place within the pandemic? So it feels like forever ago that the vaccines got here, right? But at the same time, though, it felt like it was remarkably quick that the vaccines got here, which has created a lot of the hesitancy as well. Author Brendan Borrell wrote the book, The First Shot. Going to join us here in just a minute. First Shots, excuse me. The epic rivalries and heroic science behind the race to the COVID vaccine. But a lot played into this that has shaped, reshaped, and then reshaped again the narrative surrounding the vaccine. For example, the Trump administration, or Donald Trump himself, at the podium every single day, messaging was all over the place. Calling it Operation Warp Speed does not lend a whole lot to confidence that it's going to be done right. You want it done fast or you want it done right? I mean, how many times have we heard that in life? Well, he wanted both. He eventually got both as well. Meanwhile, a person who was not a member of Trump's administration became the leading spokesperson for all of it, that being Dr. Fauci. Where was Azar? Where was Alex Azar through all this, and how did he get his name back in there? Meanwhile, you've got all the quote-unquote science denying going on from one side of the political aisle, and I don't know how it turned political, but one side of the political aisle, and then you've got the other side of the political aisle saying if this comes out on time, it will be rushed, and if it will be rushed, I can see people not trusting it. And yet here we are today. So here we are today, talking about the first shots. Author Brendan Borrell joins us now. Brendan, good morning. Welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
No, glad to have you on here. Glad to be talking about this book because I think it's going to be a good, and the upcoming HBO series as well, hopefully, a good behind-the-scenes look at how this all went down. Anything called Operation Warp Speed is going to call into question oversight, really. And, you know, do you want it done fast or do you want it done right? And somehow it got done on both fronts.
That's right. The name was certainly controversial, and it was kind of a last-minute decision. You know, it was actually a guy at the FDA, Peter Marks, who was kind of a Star Trek nerd, sort of said, "Hey, let's call it Warp Speed." But if anybody was careful, he was. I mean that's kind of what it comes down to.
Let's talk about the role of the Trump administration here, because certainly when it comes to, I hate using the term, but the science denying. There were things all over the map within the last administration, and yet this got focused in the right direction under Donald Trump's watch. What was the role of the Trump administration in the development of the vaccines?
As you know, there was certainly a lot of chaos within the administration. It was, you know, some people have called it kind of dysfunctional, and there was a sense. It was kind of a divided White House, and there was a sense among some people that we needed to take the vaccine more seriously and take COVID more seriously, and others were like, no, let's not draw attention to it. But eventually it was kind of a group of I would call them outcasts in the administration. One guy, he was a former Air Force doctor who ran this obscure office called the Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response, who came together with the FDA to propose Warp Speed. And yeah, as in my book, I talked about the day that the concept was taken to Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Kushner's, you know, got a complicated reputation, but he was like, yes, we need to do this, and he took it to Trump one day in April 15th of last year, and Trump said, yes, let's go for it. From that point forward, it was Operation Warp Speed. You know, it gotten the okay from the president, but it kind of ran on its own. It was kept within a cocoon to protect it from all of this chaos. So it's an amazing story.
It really is, and once again saw pushback from both sides. Because while a lot of blame has been thrown at the Trump administration, it can't be overlooked that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris both were on the record saying, I can understand people's hesitancy. I'm not going to take a shot that comes out of this administration. It's going to be rushed. Therefore, something's going to be wrong. This thing was attacked from everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, remember what the atmosphere was like last October and November. You know, I think we went, with the presidential election coming up, and the president was making a lot of negative comments about the FDA process. He was complaining about the companies. He was saying they weren't moving fast enough. And so that just created all of this acrimony and a sense of distrust around the vaccines. But I think underneath it all, underneath the noise, The scientists and the regulators were just trying to do their best job.
Yeah, and they produce results not just from one company like Pfizer, who, they're pretty big players here, but you had other companies factor in this as well. Was there any cross coordination between companies, any sharing of research? Because that would be monumental.
Oh, companies don't like to share their research with each other. That's for sure. They would often say, "Oh, we're just racing against the virus, not against each other. We want everybody to win," and so on. Behind the scenes, they wanted to be first. One of the monumental things about Operation Warp Speed was for companies to accept money. And as you know, Pfizer did not participate in the development process, but 5 other companies, including Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, did. For them to be part of Warp Speed, they had to work with government scientists. They had to share what they were learning with government scientists. And so that's how we got sort of a little bit of a better understanding about COVID and how well the vaccines work. And so that's one of the unheralded parts of Warp Speed, is that's given us a lot of important scientific data.
Author Brendan Borrell is our guest. We're talking about the first shots, the epic rivalries and heroic science behind the race to the COVID vaccine. Want to talk a little bit about some of this controversy surrounding the vaccine has been about myth-busting. What kind of myth-busting went on in your research of this book and in promoting this particular vaccine?
Well, I myself, I've encountered people who are resistant to the vaccine, people close to me, and it's a tough topic, but you have to explain to them, no, the vaccine's not going to change your genes. mRNA is a very short-lived molecule. It breaks down in the body within a few days. And it doesn't go into the nucleus where your DNA is stored. It just basically convinces your cells to make the protein, this famous spike protein from the coronavirus that will trigger your immune system to react. The other thing that I try to tell people is that these vaccines have now been in millions of people. There was a study that came out earlier this year that said it saved 250,000 lives in the U.S. in the spring. The reactions and the side effects have been so minor, and it just, there's no reason really not to take it. If especially if you're vulnerable or you're older, I personally would like to see some of these numbers go up.
Brendan Borrell's our guest. We've got about a minute left with Brendan, and we're talking about the first shots. His new book, The Epic Rivalries and Heroic Science Behind the Race to the COVID Vaccine. Brendan, this is in development with HBO as well. How's that process working?
Yeah, I'm hoping that moves forward. This amazing director, producer, Adam McKay, he's kind of the guy behind the HBO series Succession. He also directed Anchorman, if you remember, which is one of my personal favorites. And yeah, I've spoken with them, and it's kind of out of my hands now what they do. Hollywood is a funny business, but I think it would make a great series.
Are we looking at documentary or adapting this to a series?
Oh, it would be a scripted series. There's a writer involved now who's starting to write a screenplay.
Very, very cool stuff. Meanwhile, the first shots, it's available right now. If you wanted to go ahead and order it. The first shots, the epic rivalries and heroic science behind the race to the COVID vaccine. Honestly, Brendan, before I get you out of here, I'm looking forward to some of those behind-the-scenes stories, some of those unsung heroes, and I understand that you got plenty of them.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's some great drama in there.
He is Brendan Borrell. We appreciate you hopping on board for a couple minutes this morning. Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. First shots, the epic rivalries and heroic science behind the race to the COVID vaccine. And yeah, it can't be overlooked, the fact that this whole process was combated from both sides. It also can't be overlooked that when it's called Operation Warp Speed, and honestly, that was a little nugget I didn't know. I did not realize that a Star Trek nerd over at the FDA came up with the name. I mean, from the time they announced Operation Warp Speed, I legit believe that was a Donald Trump creation. It just sounded like such a Donald Trump creation, didn't it? Man, I'm actually a little let down now. Going to have that and a whole lot more within the book. It is worth checking out. And now I got to read the book just to see how it adapts to the HBO series. See how close to the book they keep it. One of the myths that he had to bust, and we didn't have a full allotment of time to get this in, was how the vaccine came to creation so quickly. Now, we've talked with a number of different people about this in the past, and the gene sequencing and everything that goes into that, before there was a novel coronavirus, there were coronaviruses to track. And one of the things we've been told is like getting the vaccine for COVID-19 so quickly was a result of decades worth of dedicated work by scientists that people have never heard of. Work going into coronaviruses in general that people are never ever going to hear about. So looking forward to hearing that story as well. Anyway, it's called The First Shots. It is available. We got one more segment to go. Going to revisit our top story of the day. The mask mandate has been lifted. We'll hear a little more from Governor John Bell Edwards coming up next. Gotta love talking about the producer and director of Succession with Brendan right there, only to have Your Money Now come right back out and say HBO has renewed Succession. 856 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along, recapping our top story of the day. The mask mandate's gone. Gone as of today. Governor John Bel Edwards, we're going to hit cut 3 here, Jake. Governor John Bel Edwards made the announcement yesterday.
Today, because we have basically returned to pre-Delta or pre-fourth surge baseline numbers, and Dr. Candace is going to show you all the graphs in just a moment, I am announcing that the proclamation that I've signed a while ago, earlier today, for the next 28 days will lift the statewide mask mandate. And I want to be very clear about what I'm about to say. It will remain in place for K through 12 schools, except that school districts and non-public schools can opt out of the mask mandate, but only by following CDC guidance as outlined by the Department of Health with respect to quarantine and isolation.
Important to note with that, the opting out within the school districts, yes, it's going to happen district by district. You're going to see a number of districts opt out because they're going to revert to CDC guidelines that were in place before Dr. Brumley put out his version of changing quarantining a couple weeks ago. But it's also important to note that everything Dr. Brumley said a couple weeks ago is now moot because it was based off of what is and is not considered close contact. And close contact, according to the CDC, if you're in a mask and the person 3 feet away from you is wearing a mask as well, that was not considered close contact. In fact, if we can go to, actually, let's skip to cut 1. In Ask the Governor last week, Governor John Bel Edwards, he kind of hinted at where we were going when it came to a mask mandate being lifted everywhere else, but possibly not in schools. I forget the name of the caller, but he was answering a question with this answer.
It's a good question. It's just a little premature. I received my first briefing today about what the current situation is relative to the decision next week on what we keep in place and what we lift. But I will tell you there is a tremendous difference between an indoor setting and an outdoor setting. And Tiger Stadium, as you know, is outdoors. Schools are obviously indoors, and the vast majority of people there, not only are they unvaccinated, they can't be vaccinated. It's not available to them yet. And that makes a big difference in our analysis. Secondly, we know that there are at least as many parents who want masking in schools, or at least they have in the past, in order to feel comfortable enough to send their kids to school, as there are parents who would rather there not be masks. But if you want fewer interruptions in school and more kids in class for longer, then you've got to make sure that you don't have outbreaks. And the current CDC guidelines say that if 2 students are in close proximity to one another, but they're masked, then that's not a close contact.
Right there. If 2 students are close to one another and they're masked, that's not a close contact. But now that the masks are gone, that makes the previous quarantining rules or guidelines moot. So that's where we're at. Anyway, Fox News Rundown's coming your way next, followed by Brian Kilmeade. Thank you so much for listening.
Protect your retirement. Visit safemoneyplan.net. It's 9 o'clock.
WBRP, Baker, Baton Rouge, 98.1 HD3, Talk 107.3 FM, the new flavor.
All right, YouTube. That was, God, that was a lot of ground. I think I'm going to hang on to these for tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to revisit them or not, but there's still so much more to unpack from that press conference. So, thank y'all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I've already got a full slate lined up for tomorrow. So.